What's up, traders, and welcome back to a market analysis video. We're going to be breaking down gold from a technical perspective and also prepare ourselves from a fundamental perspective. And so let's get right into the technicals first. We can see from a technical perspective, if we were to zoom out, we see gold is pretty much very close to all-time highs. So we're very bullish still on gold, especially now that this daily candle, as you can see, it closed above this range highs, which we're going to see the range now in just a second. We have all of these wick rejections, all of these candle bodies stuck within this range. Finally, we had enough buyers to actually push through that zone and most importantly, close above that zone. So let's take a look at that. A little closer look here on the 4 hour. So like I was talking about, we're going to see it a lot more clear on the 1 hour, the range that was created, but you can see it very clearly on the 4 as well. On the 4 hour, we have our resistance at 29.25. We had this support around the 2900s, and again, just multiple rejections, whether it was on the downside. This, you can see price broke below, closed below, and then ended up closing back above, just kind of like faking a lot of sellers out during that time and then staying within that range, right? So on the 1 hour, we can see that price action again, same thing. Price was creating this range between 2900s, 29.25. We had a minor move towards the downside. I believe this was the beginning of the week. So we had a minor move towards the downside where price was, it looks like it was just retesting these lower price points around 28.83s before price ended up getting back inside of that large range. This is about a 250 pip range. And then you can see, funny enough, price even started to create another range within that range. So throughout these past couple of days, the price action on gold hasn't really been the best. Again, with this large range being created, with this minor range within the range being created, it just wasn't ideal to be forcing any sort of trades. But as always, we're always prepared for any scenario. We still had some ideas, some trade ideas inside of our community, and we knew that gold over the past couple of weeks, we've been bullish on gold. There has been no real reason to kind of have a technical, or excuse me, there hasn't been a real reason from a technical perspective for us to say, okay, technically gold is very bearish. Maybe if price would have been like below the 2083s and we would have never snapped back into this area, then sure, below 2900s, below the 2883s, if we would have continued, that would have been more bearish. But as you can see, we ended up just continuing bullish here. So now this morning, you can see that after CPI today came out fairly neutral and had some signs of disinflation. So we can see the reaction that we got from the market was at first very mixed. Price was still stuck within the range. Before getting into NYSE hours, we had a minor move towards the downside. We were looking out to see if price was going to close below this area, and if it closed below this area, we were going to be expecting further moves down, at least down to the range lows. But as you can see, price ended up just creating a wick, closed above, and then in the following candles, that's where the buyers started to step in. And we can see some clean breaks and closes above our area of resistance. So finally, on gold, we're past that range. We've gotten through it. We can now ideally start to follow that bullish price action, especially with the strong candles that we saw throughout this day, minor pullback, and now during these early Asian hours, we're starting to see a slight continuation here of more buys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark up some new zones here, really just one. Like I want to mark off this area around here where price created this resistance. It looks like within the next 20 minutes, we might be closing above this resistance here that we have. If we look towards the left, we also have this price reaction at this 29.37. So we can confirm that this is an area of reaction over here as well. Heavy reactions at this area, very strong reactions at this area as well. So if we can continue to close above that zone, we are most likely, or I would say the probabilities and the chances of us continuing bullish are pretty high. We just really wouldn't want to see price action. Like I'm going to set up a scenario here. Like for example, if we were to see price action close above that zone, we can see we already have one candle closing above. The next candle dug back into this range and then it ended up closing above as well. So it looks like the sellers do not have enough strength to actually push price lower, right? Because ideally what happens when you break out of ranges, you would want to see a retest of that area. So basically that would mean price action would have to pull back to these previous highs, right? Something more or less like this. And that could be a possible scenario for continued buys. The other scenario that we could see is, for example, let's say price does a minor pullback to these new lows that price created. And if we can reject these lows and then continue to also trade above this, we could see further buys. So I'm going to mark off these highs that we have here. It is possible that if we just see continued bullish price action like above the zone, then yeah, it is possible that price is most likely going to start to fill at least some of this range, at least 50% of this range, which would be more or less around 70 to 80 pips, more or less. Above that, we got about 150, almost 200 pips to potentially go into as we're entering this new range here. So for now, from a technical perspective and even fundamentally, like, you guys have to remember all of the tariff uncertainty, Trump kind of coming in and putting out tariffs into other countries, it's just bringing uncertainty, right? We've been seeing a very, very weak dollar. Like, I haven't even marked off the dollar because it's just been almost like on a free fall. The dollar has been falling pretty strong. So we know that that supports our bullish bias. These would be the main buy ideas that I would look for. The only way I would start to maybe look out for some potential sells is once price starts to get below the 2930s and closes back below these previous range highs. It is possible that if we close below that and show like failures to actually push above that zone, it is possible we are going to get some corrections back down into this area. So we'll put this in red so that way we can understand. And then we'll also just kind of like, again, just to kind of point out like, yes, if we do trade below that zone, it is possible that price on gold is going to do a deeper pullback. So fairly simple, guys. Same approach as we always do. Make sure to wait for your confirmations. Wait for your trading session to appear. Don't rush into any trades. Wait for your edge to actually be there rather than you forcing your trades. All right, guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, as always, guys, reach out to me on my socials. I'll put out the links in the description below. Take care, everybody.